live on this meeting. I'm just setting it live on the YouTube as well, on the Facebook, and on the Zoom, and trying to do all three at once. And I want to want to manage. So I mean, we're about to go live on this meeting. I'm just setting it live on the YouTube as well, on the Facebook, and I'm trying to do all three everyone at once. Has got. So we want just doing this so just talking, just doing this on Facebook and Zoom, and also on the YouTube. Trying a few things here. Seeing a lot of people coming in, so say hi to every one of you guys. Feel free to turn on your camera. The reason is I want you guys to at the end of this is more like I want to make this more like a social event, more than other weekly event. If you want, definitely want to do that, then that's great, because there's more chance for you guys to meet each other. I was trying to make the breakout rooms later on at the end of it, because I want this to be a little bit on the social side, so you guys can social and can have have the discussion within a group. Depending on how big of the group, I'm expecting about 20 people joining us. If I'm just going to wait for another couple minutes before we're going to start joining the meeting. It has been great seeing all you guys online, taking the time. I know you guys are all very busy. I've been talking to a few of you guys. It's funny, it's like some of you guys are very, very busy, and some of you guys it's it's kind of affected by a little bit with what's going on. But I intend to continue all these meetings online, because I want to keep you guys updated on what's going on out there in relation to real estate, in relation to apartments, in relation to I have host meeting on a monthly basis before, but I've been doing more and more lately, because this is where let me know if you guys seen my screens. I'm sharing the screens. You guys seeing my screens as well? Okay, fantastic. I like Scott. Scott is always the quickest. Maybe you have the fastest line. It's hi God. I see some couple of new faces. Ryan, Karam, Will, James, Team. I think is it Timmy? Maybe it's but yeah, it's just gonna be starting fairly soon. Are you guys hearing all okay? Then we're just gonna jump right. Are you guys able to see the screen, everyone's? Then so I'm just gonna mute one more. Yes, Timmy, perfect. So welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us for this meetup number 4 in the year. And I see some of you faces, like really, it's a weekend. I know, but maybe this is the new norm. I don't know. Maybe this is the new way that we're going to be meeting soon. I really don't hope that is the case, but as business owner, and some of you guys are too, you have to be nimble. You have to keep doing what works. And so welcome everyone. So this is number 4, and I want to talk about raise capital. For all you guys who come in, that I always tell you guys that having a system is very important. So I always have system on how to buy real estate. Even I sharing this on my meetups, shared a lot on my meetup to every one of you guys. You have to do the research and make research on the market, and and then with the market you have to find the deals, and you have to also raise the capital along the same time and create a team and really close the deal. So I talk about it all year long since 2017, 2018, 2019, and so it's the same framework. Really, framework that works. And but it's every year have a little bit of different things going on. This year we have the virus, and to be honest, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for people to really. I have hear questions all the time. Is this the right time? Is it the right time? And I've seen a lot of discussion online. Is it the right time to invest? The truth is, it is always the right time if you prepare. It is always the right time if you have the capital. But just not that yet. But we're gonna talk about what is the best time when time like this. In fact, I came in the office today. I see a guy and asked me what is the best time. What should I be invest? And we have a little bit of discussion on that. But the good thing is, you guys keep coming to get yourself immersed, because the thing is, you're not going to be know the market from one day. You're not going to be knowing how to invest in apartments from one day. You have to keep submerged yourself into knowledge, into the network, into people who are serious enough to do real estate, do apartments, and when the opportunity comes, maybe 60 days, maybe 90 days, who knows, maybe in 6 months. But that's the time that you can actually pull the trigger. I say that all the time. So why, I'm going to jump right in. Why raising capital is very important. Because it's, what's your other options if you want to buy big asset, whether you're going to buy real estate or not. You're either going to save your capital or you're going to be raise the capital, right? So if you know how to raise capital, if you learn about the important skills, how to do that, then you really can do any business, not only real estate, not only apartments, you can do any business yourself. So today's agenda is very simple. So this is a part 3 on the number 3 of raising capital. And I was thinking about what should I share, because we really share about a lot on, the 4 W's, and previously people who join us know that we talk about the who, the where, the what, and how. But today I really want to sync up because, and I'm going to share a story later on, but I really want to sink into talk about the questions. I want to help you guys, equip you guys with, when investors asking you questions that is really valid questions on specific on your deal, specific about yourself. How are you going to respond to that? I don't think I cover a lot. Like, you guys can let me know that if I cover a lot, I'm talking about really real time, one-on-one kind of things, like investing in front of you, having a coffee in front of you with her or him. So how are you going to respond to that? That is really, I would say that is probably one of the most scary moment when investor answer your questions and you don't have the answer. The answer doesn't have to be perfect, but I have the chance. I have the moments before that when investor answer me a question, I've frozen up. I don't know what should I say. But today, let me go back a little bit. So you're only going to gain experience if you keep raising capital. You're only going to get more experience, get more fluent, knowing what to say when you do this kind of meeting more and more. There's no talking about it. But today I want to shorten that learning path a little bit. I want to share with you how I see how people have been successfully responding to the investor questions, and how I've been personally. I'm going to share about one horrible story, crazy story, and then and also sharing some of the things that when investors answer me those questions, they tends to have the same question over and over and over again, and it all comes down to how do you give them the information so that they give them the confidence. I talk about the know, like, trust. So now if you're in this part, then you probably know the investor, and now what you're going to do with how to make them. How do you make them like you? How do you make them to give them your trust? And that is by creating the report, by giving them so-called the right answer, and really help them to understand the investing process. So because it is a meetup, so this is not a webinar, so I'd like to give you guys an opportunity, and you guys, and that's why, meeting like this is not going to be me talking all the time. I like to talk, people know me that I like to talk, but, I want you guys to, if you want, like, because we're going to talk, then people will probably want to see your face. And I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds because it's about raising capital. So don't be shy. Don't be shy. People on the Facebook, I encourage you to actually come in and go in, join us and go into the Zoom link. And while I am waiting for a couple of you guys coming up, I need to do this. So all you guys get ready to show your face. But basically I want to give you guys opportunity. I'm going to be calling names. So I want to give you guys 30 seconds or even shorter, just your name, your company, your business, why you're here, what you want to learn, whether you're raising capital or not, it doesn't matter. But basically I want to give you guys opportunity to basically present yourself. We have about 12 people on the Zoom, and I don't know how many people on the live. So Timmy, you want to go first? So let me just skip you. And next one is Scott.
Hey, Howard, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing, Scott?
Good. All right, so I guess my name is right there. Scott Pearl, interested in commercial real estate, currently doing residential. So I'm here today just to, you can't learn enough about real estate. So and raising capital is one of the most important parts, unless you unless your bank account is overflowing. Yeah, you need to raise some capital. So I think it's a great topic today and looking forward to it.
Fantastic. Thanks, Scott. Trying to find the name of the person with the Apple computer under Scott. I'm trying. Let me see if I can see you better. I think it's Mark. Let me see. So unmute Scott, and then Timmy. Timmy is, yes, there you go. Timmy, you want to go first? You want to go second? Hey, Timmy. Maybe louder on your speaker. Let's see. I think, hang on. I don't know why.
Yo puse aquí, a ver, me contigo Esparta, si es mi 3, me contigo Esparta no es equals 11 rings, y el GDP es 80.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't really hear you. So I would just take control and move on to, it's funny thing is like when I see in your face, I can't see your name. And let's see. So let's go to God. You want to go next? God. Going once. Go unmute. This is way more challenging as I expected, because everyone trying to. I have 14 people in here now, so can't hear you, God or James. Okay, so okay, let's do this. I'm gonna come back. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys opportunity, but I'm gonna do my first. But I want you guys to unmute all your mic. So, and then I want you guys to jump after me. So basically, after I'm done my introductions, and now you guys to start introducing yourself, and then I'm gonna make the breakout rooms. So okay, so I've been investing in apartments, in actually single families since 2006. So my company is Hate to Break. I've been doing this sharing since 2017, 18, 19, 20. So I've been hosting events. I have been hosting a lot of on my own events. At the same time, I've been going to other people's events. And my journey is I started investing in Calgary since 2006. And I invest in just like everyone else. I got a single condos, apartments in Calgary, and then I slowly move on to US, and I expanded to other part of Canada in Winnipeg, and I invest in China and in Hong Kong in the meantime, and then I come back, to 5 years ago I started learning investing in commercial real estate, focusing on multifamily. Thanks God, because if I'm going to invest in commercial, I think multifamily is one of the best place you can be at this time. I think it's also because of the inherent nature of apartments, that everyone need to have the place to live, but not everyone need to have a place to work when you got laid off, or like, or go to hotel. So it's definitely one of the most resilient part of our commercial world right now. So so that's just about me. And so I'm gonna give not everyone, but who want to do introductions other than Scott. Scott already got a heads up because everyone's know about Scott. So Will, you want to go ahead and speak?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everybody. My name's Will. I'm in El Paso, Texas. And
how's the weather down there?
It's pretty fair. It's pretty fair. The sun's out. No complaints there. It's a shame that we're on lockdown and in the house. But I'm happy to be here. I'm very new to multifamily. I'm honored to be associated with Howard. I looking at him as a mentor, and he's taught me a lot already in just a couple of conversations we've had, specifically about multifamily. And then I just getting started with Howard, and this hit us. So I'm trying to look at the positive of it. Like he said, it's an opportunity for us to really get in and then take advantage of. It's going to go up from here once this stuff is let down. And I think there's been a general trend towards renting since the last crash and recession. So like Scott, I have a background in single family, working as an acquisitions manager for other people, and I want to do my own thing. So that's why I look towards Howard and multifamily. So glad to be here.
It's the best place to be, buying for yourself.
Yes, sir.
Who's next? Jump in. I'm going to do a couple more and then we're going to move on. The other two is going to get the next 30 seconds free of advertising yourself. Because you need to show up, right? If you want to raise capital, you have to show up.
Sure, I can go.
Ryan? Go ahead. Hey, Ryan.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
Okay. So my name is Rahul. I'm new I currently live in Calgary, but I moved here from Toronto about a year ago. Currently own 2 townhomes in Toronto in joint partnership with a friend of mine. Currently I work here as an engineer in the construction field, and I'm an investor as well. My objective to come to these seminars is to learn about opportunities that exist outside of Canada, and to see how I can generate cash flow right off the bat. So I think Howard has some really great ideas, which, I'm be interested to learn further. And I think multifamily is a great opportunity that exists for all of us. So yeah, that's me in short, and that's why I'm here.
'cause I haven't seen you for a while, Raul.
Yeah.
It's great to see you online. I think we may have to do this kind of thing more often, I guess. But hey, like we're business people, so we adapt, right? And
Absolutely. Adapt to survive.
nice to have you.
Nice to have you.
One last more. Who's the brave guy or girl? One last person, and then I'm gonna jump into that. Talk about 9 questions. Going once, 2. Okay. So I came into this business. I have so many help from my mentors. That is no secret. You have to if you're doing something new, right? You can either I remember when I was starting myself, like in 2006, I was trying to do it all. I'm trying to do myself, but I was able to do that. I was able to get to some results. I was able to buy some single families here and there. To be honest, I know long time. I don't want to stop there. I've heard all these stories that you can get to 20, 30, or even 60 doors, single families. It's good, but I always know that, I honestly, I want to build more. Like I want to be able to, someone just remind me actually the other day, you guys can stop me anytime, by the way. Someone just remind me, Howard, not everyone is you, right? And to be honest, I don't understand. Like I understand what they mean, but I don't want to understand. I think we all want to build, like to a degree, we want to build a big, meaningful, and I do know everyone's have different standard of what's meaningful. But personally, I learn from the people I want to learn from. Like all those guys, they have hundreds or thousands or even several thousands of units. So I want to learn from all those people, and I guess in a nutshell is like that's why I I basically say, I know single families, residential is really easy to do, but I'm gonna go out and be uncomfortable, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say, and it was very uncomfortable, and to this day it's very uncomfortable, to a degree, but I think that's the path to lead to where I want to be. So I talk about that. I was going to different meetings and in different places in US and Toronto, but you know what? I didn't actually figure out, why I don't start sharing with a group like you guys in Calgary, in locally, and I can have every month that see you guys, for all you guys are coming, I'm really grateful to see you guys keep coming. But so that's how I started, and I want to have networking that is local and is part of me. I'm part of that, and the group is part of me, and I can keep going to the group. So that's how I started. So I'm really greedy. I want to be number one group in Calgary. And I've been always saying that, and I think it will be true if I keep saying that. And I wanted to put enough work and quality. I say quality, quantity, spirit, and something that I steal from the book Think and Grow Rich. If you guys have you read the Think and Grow Rich, you know that what I mean. But really, I want to have a group that is going to be talking about multifamily from Canada. That in Calgary space, that's not actually a lot of people was talking about. How to invest in multifamily, or talk about how to invest in from Canada to US. So and then I look around, like that's definitely people who is doing it. At that time I was already doing without learning multifamily, I was already investing in the US and investing into other part of the world in Asia. But I see this as an opportunity that I can share more. So that's why I created the group. so I talk about that. This is the number 3 of the raising capital meetups. So the number 1 and 2 talk about the second meetups. I talk about the 4 W's, the who, the where, and what and how. But I didn't really sink in as in, because I really want to focus on one thing. And then, to be honest, I was thinking what's best to share in terms of, because I have boot camps and people. One last time that I was have the boot camp, and the boot camps, I remember the response from the attendees. I really like the role playing part of between you and the broker. So we were playing broker, like I was an investor or I was the broker, and then I have the other guy who played the broker and the investor role play, so to speak. So I was thinking, what is the best way to give you more in terms of, like, on the down to the meeting, one-on-one things, in terms of raising capital. So I think about, and then I flipped a couple books, and then I see we all struggle. I remember when I start meeting investors, I was very, very nervous, and I was really nervous. I don't know what to say, and I don't know if I say wrong. And I was at best I was like sweating, all the time. So today I want to so I want to talk about those questions. But you can have one-on-one investor interactions. Not right now. I know we are on in front of a computer, but eventually, even if you're on the screen, if you're gonna meet the investors, you have an opportunity to meet an investor on the phone, even on the phone, or even face to face. You're gonna need to answer those questions, and I didn't practice those questions, like looking back, and those questions is actually absolutely you can practice as an investor. Those questions will become on and on and on and on again, and my gosh, I keep thinking that I'm such a slow learner. Why don't I get better on answering those questions? So today, I want specific on the questions and what to tell you what I'm gonna ask, some of the questions, and what do you say and how to answer them. One of the biggest mistakes is, I remember when I was doing it, and I'm still doing it, and probably still making mistakes right now, is I don't really listen to investors and the needs and concern. Everyone, we all have our own challenge, but one of the big challenge I can share that I probably still need to be improved is how do I really listen to the investors? When the investor talk, I really need to shut up, right? I was in an investing call yesterday, and thank God I was able to shut up, but it's not something that I know, like, that I'm good at, but it's something that I definitely can improve. Like, it's just like the questions that we're going to share later on. You can definitely improve. You can definitely just I'm meeting 2 more guys. You can definitely improve on practicing some of the questions. But the biggest thing is, actually, this is what I found, is when investor talk, you just have to shut up. And that's something that I have to keep telling myself that, and my wife tell me all the time that you're really not listening, don't you, right? Like, people know what I'm talking about, and some of you guys may be smiling, but we all have our own something that we can improve, right? So hopefully I'm going to share some of the questions, and you guys can really practice that or even role play it, and those questions is not anything. They always answer those questions, to be honest, and those things that you can practice. And I want to give you to that. So what are some of the questions, right? So how and when I'm going to get my money back? What are the risks, right? What's the risk involved if you're investing in apartments, or if you're investing in US, right? And this is the good one. How much your own money you're going to put in yourself? Like, you want to invest me, like, how much money, like, if you're putting your own money, and what if I need my money back? I heard this questions a couple of days ago. It's a really good one, and I put a credit because I actually, I didn't create all these questions. I actually read a book always improving, just like all of you guys, to get myself better. So I have one of the book, and I'm gonna share with you if you guys are interested. Is actually I find it really good in terms of talk about raising capital, and that person's he's a US guy, is really credible. It's not my mentor or anything, but I pick up his books, and it packed with 8 or 9 questions. I actually that's why I put a credit, because some of this question is not from me. And so this is the next slide, but how does it affect my income taxes, right? That's a really good one. I heard this all the time. In fact, I was helping investors yesterday who's already my investor and asking me that questions. And how do you protect my asset? If you're investing into the US, how do you invest? How do you invest how do you protect it? This is so far away. And what if the project lose money, right? Or like if the budget, look at the current situations, right? Like the property, like all the real estate, just drop, and it's going to keep dropping. So what if the project lost money? Are you going to tell your investor, you know what, they never lose money, this is a little bit, this is like always going to be going up? Are you going to tell them that, or what are you going to tell them? How many projects have you done, right? What's the logistic of that? So you don't have to copy. I'm going to share the slides eventually when it's all done. I don't need you guys to keep writing. I don't need you guys to do that. But I want to share a story of myself when I was just starting. By the way, I think I'm always starting, but is a story that I remember that was a few years back, and me and my wife meet the potential investors, and it's 2 couples, and so we go to the investor home. And I was so excited. I have this project. I'm ready to talk, but I'm very excited, and ready to tell them about the return and everything. So they came to my seminar. So I'm trying. So and then there are more questions, and then I go to the home, and even bought dessert, and sit down. It's like late at home. We have my in-laws come to my homes to take care of our little girl, and so yeah, and then we go to the home. And it's sad to say that it was one of the most very humble experience for my capital raising experience. I think I shared one time in my meetup, but basically, long and short is, so I didn't get any money from the meeting, and the investor asked me a lot of questions that I didn't dream of, right? Give you an idea. One of the question is, the point blank. The investor asked me, so if you're gonna get my money and go back to China, and how can I get it back? Kuda is smiling. I wish I could smile at that time. I was frozen, right? I was like stoned. Now I hope I may probably better prepare, but that was a really good experience. But to be honest, I didn't understand that it was a really good experience until long time later. I didn't understand it, because you know what? Now I know. I'm prepared. I was going into a meeting expecting everything to go smooth. Some investor, will be really polite, and some investor will be really direct. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, you want to be prepared and not expect, and also don't expect every meeting you're going to get money of that, but expect you're going to learn something from that. Whether you're going to build a relationship with the investors, that's no such thing as you meet one time the investor, you're going to get 50,000. It never happened to me. That's more like meet the investor 20 times and then you get the 250,000. Scott is smiling. Yeah. It's I at the same time I'm trying to get myself better, right? And in terms of understanding the investor needs, understanding my background is an engineer. It's just like a lot of you guys is technical background. So I'm learning this from the first-hand experience. But what I find is that the no's is actually the one that teach you the most, because you really, you feel deflated. It's like, you feel like, what do you think? Like, I feel really bad, after that. But now I know that, the investor is going to tell you, yeah, okay, good. Yeah, I love it. At the end, they don't teach you anything, and they never going to invest with you. The worst investor, I'm not saying that they're worse than others. It's the worst learning experience. What I'm going to try to say is, because you really want to get the most from each meeting, and you get better and better, hopefully, from each one of this investor meeting. And that's from the notes, and that's the questions. And Grant Cardone's really say really well. Every meeting, when you go in, and you want to observe how you do in front of investors, whether you record it, you probably really hard to put a camera to kind of record the whole conversations. It's private conversation. But what I mean by that is, like, you better know how you perform, and you better know how to analyze the investor reactions. He's not talking about investor at the time. He's talking about sales situations, but it's the same, right? So yeah, so I just want to share the story, and then we can jump right into first questions. How and when I'm getting my money back? So basically, it's really standard when you're presenting a project to investors. In order to answer the questions, first of all, you have to have a plan. You have to know what you're trying to do with the project. What is good time, bad time, right? The approach will be different, and we if we have time, we can talk about a little bit of that. The approach will be different, but basically, what he or she is saying is, so we go in, like, you have to know what you're going to do with the project. Are you doing value add, right? What's the execution plan, right? I laid it all out here. What's the execution plan? Are you going in, raise some rent, right? And like, how do you think that basically, you also know at this time, you also have to know, like, you're underwriting pretty well, because that the money back and how and the return and all that is backed up by your financial projections. And you must have already done your financial projection in order to have, you say the 2 years is because of based on this, I'm able to increase so much rent, right? I'm able to increase the occupancy so much, and that is the math. And you need to understand that part. You need to understand how much rent as I said, how much rent you're increasing, and if you're increasing rent, or if you're doing management play, because for example, if one of the property is 70%, you need to push the occupancies to 90 or 80%. So that's where your return is. You have to back up the conversations with the numbers. So how do you do it, right? How can you know that you're doing it properly, right? So they're basically asking you, they due diligencing you, right? While you're due diligencing the deals, they are basically checking about you. So give them the details, right? What have you done to prepare? For example, like, they're basically trying to answer why this is a good project. And how you do that is really simple, right? If you have done the work, if you go to the site already, if you've done your due diligence already, and you have your team, that's really important, because you know what, we're investors, but we don't know everything. No one's know everything. All those numbers, all those rent comps, I talk about with some of the guys, rent comps, is done because you have done the research on the market, look at what your property is charging, and what is your competition charging. So those things, is because you're backed up by research, whether you're going to call on the property or comps properties, or or you physically go visit and you come up with a leasing packages. When you go to the competitions, one thing that I do is I go to the competitions and pretend that I'm a tenant, and then answer all those questions. Like, what is it? What does it include? How much is the rent? How much size? I see the unit of the model unit, and I answer all those questions, and that's kind of come up with why I know when I buy my properties, I know how much I can raise the rent. So you give them, so all this work is basically, so I said that leverage your team, and you sometimes you leverage your team. In this case, for example, if you know that you need to put 3,000 per door. You know, if you're not construction background, even if you're construction background, you don't know how much it costs locally anyway. So if you talk about we're in Calgary, the Calgary cost to renovate a single unit is so much more different, maybe 10 times different actually, and not even exaggerating. If you renovating the same size of unit in Calgary than in the Midwest or in California or New York or Atlanta, they're all different. So you really have to leverage your team. You probably need a contractor locally to give you an idea what you need to renovate it on the one that you're trying to buy. So all this, you know, what it does is basically when you already have your team, when you already do your comps, when you already do your due diligence, when you look at the 3 years rent roll and 3-year P&L, so you have done all this work. So what it does is basically you tell the investor, you know what, I'm the real deal. I've done the work, and that's why you can get your money back. So but this really comes down to doing those kind of things. You know, like I talk about researching, underwriting, and creating the team. All those kind of things is going to help you, because you know what, that's basically a one big long answer, right? Because the investor is basically looking forward to you, like, you know, is this guy's valid? You know, is this guy really going to be, this guy really know understand what he said, right? So question, do you understand? Who said who?
I did. Hey, Howard.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, so you talk about the execution plan. With an engineering background, I'm sure you're used to doing project execution plans. Do you actually put something together like that for an investment project, or is it you know, is that the time even? Because I guess I mean, you're
yeah, so it's really simple. The thing that I usually at this time already, Scott, is I should already have my property package. It doesn't have to be long. I've seen property package from 7 pages to 16 pages. So basically, it tell, you know, what are you buying, the images, and what is, so the project execution is really actually, it is actually maybe only on the whole thing is maybe just a couple pages. What you're gonna do, like, you know, how much you're renovating, and maybe it's what is currently you're charging, and then where you're going. And then you basically, you don't give them the whole Excel spreadsheet. Basically, you give it, you basically snapshot the whole Excel spreadsheet and put it there. So you can't really move around formula. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, the execution plan is basically, is almost like, I can tell you, is almost basically in 3 lines. One is we're buying at this, and then we renovate it, and then we increase the rent, and that's your final value. So it's in a nutshell, but it's basically in a poem form, and then obviously you're also backed by who you are, and also like who you are as in, you know, who Scott you are, and then your team, you know, who you are also is about your team as well. And you can put your team informations as a part of, you know, your property manager is your team, right? And your contractor is your team, and all those things, and you put in there. And I think the one thing that I was going to say, I forgot, is on the back of my mind. But yeah, also the demographics of the city. So you're selling the properties, but you're also selling the why so and so cities, you know, the market. So remember that you asked me about earlier is about the market research. So you basically, all this information, you already done it, right? But basically you put it into a presentable format, and to be honest, it's really just copy and paste to that. If you're looking at that same city all the time, you're not going to change the demographics and the market. Well, if different areas, then you do. But if like the same market, you don't have to change the market backgrounds every time. You just change out the property portions, and you don't even have to change out your team, because your team is the same, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really high level in this time, but it's really, you know, it's really, when you pass this, basically the investors answering this question, they're trying to pass that 3 minutes conversations, and then so that they move on to the 3 hours conversations.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Yep. Good. And next, did I skip questions? I think I did skip questions. What's the second questions? What's the risk? I think I deleted the questions. So what are the risks? I want to talk about that. Oh, so what do you think if you're investing into in apartments? What is the risk? So I'm going with my memory, guys. Sorry, I delete these screens. First of all, you're investing from Canada to US. You're going to have currency risk, right? And if you're investing into rental business, you're also going to have physical risk, the asset risk, meaning that you are investor. You as a managing partner, you have different risks along with the investors. So the question investor is going to answer. So if I'm investing in this, where I'm going to lose my cert, or if I'm investing 50,000 into your deal, what's my risk totally? That's basically okay. I understand. I remember what I was trying to say. So will I lose the 50,000 only, or are going to lose more? Like anyone who invests in single family, you know that if you have invested in single family, you yourself as investors and also the managing partner of your own property, then if anything happened over and beyond, you can be liable because you signed on the dotted loan, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if I'm buying a house in Calgary, if anything happened, I lose more than just the down payment. If the insurance doesn't cover, I'm going to lose the bank is going to chase me as a person, or someone is going to sue me, then they can come all the way to my asset, right? Because usually all of you guys usually don't buy it in the company, right? You also usually buy it in your personal, the title go back to your name, Howard Lau, or like whoever, right? So that's actually is a good questions, because this is a time that actually I would tell my investors myself, you actually, this is different from when you're buying single homes, investing in single homes. The risk is almost unlimited. When you're investing with me or other investors, we can set up structure that is basically a remote transaction, meaning that you are. So we can talk about a little bit more technical. They are going to be the limited partners of the deal. So so you as an investor, you're trying to raise the money with the investor. So they're going to be the limited partners. So meaning that that is all. If anything's happen, that is going to be the 50,000, 100,000, or 200,000. That's the only how much they can lose, because they are limited partners of the deal. So I always tell investors that's why because they also don't qualify for the loan as well. When they invest with someone like you or me, so they don't have to do anything. And the risk, because of they don't do anything. So again, go back to the questions of limited partners, is when they invest in the limited partners and they don't manage, and that's really, really key thing. So they don't manage just like you and I would as a managing partner. So with that, so they're safe. Okay. So that's the risk. But you also have to be and telling them, to be honest, what is the risk? If there's a fire, then of course it burned down the whole building, then the insurance cover. So that's mitigated, and that's also tenant insurance that you can buy. Get your tenants to buy tenant insurance. That's also mitigated there from the tenant's perspective. Why is it important? Because if the tenants can get their own self protected, then they're not going to go after you as investors. But that's really popular. They're going to ask you, what is my risk? So you need to be ready to answer questions. What is the investor risk? Because they're going to ask you that questions. Number 3, how much of your own money are you putting yourself? That's a really good book from who's an engineer here? A lot of you guys engineer. I'm an engineer. So it's by by a guy, billionaire guy called Schulich. in Canada. He's multi-billionaire, and he support all the engineering school in Canada. His name is Schulich, and his book is called, I think it's Get Smarter. And one of the chapters is talking about skin in the game, and it's talking about if anyone trying to do anything, if you're a smart investor, know that in order to motivate people, in order to actually vet people, whether that project is viable, they have to have the skin in the game. And you know what? I've been telling people, you raising capital, is what you need to do. But one thing I also have to tell you is, if you're not going to put any skin in the game, investors is going to have that questions. It's okay if you don't invest in any in this game, but I'm going to tell you how you respond. But the first thing is, it doesn't have to be a lot. Like look, if you're raising 100% of the capital, if you put 5% or even 10% of the dough, not only you can partner with someone else, right, to do that, but it's going to give the investor so much more confidence. It's kind of come down to you putting your money on your mouth when you're telling them that this is a good project, and they're going to answer this. And many investors will answer this, right? So if this is such a good project, why don't you put your own money, right? Why don't you put my own money into that? So the reason why I'm saying that is, you can tell me, it's like, I don't have capital to invest in. That's fine, right? But don't. The worst response is, looking at that stone, like, and this is the first time that you answer that. So be ready. So I look at this book, and it's really good response is actually, I'm going to share this here. So it's okay to have no, like, if you're not planning to put equity into the deal, but you can tell them, you know what, you have to make sure that understand, all you guys who've been learning how to do this, that's really a lot of work, Will, Cooter, Scott, you guys, learning about this, and James, that's a lot of work to go to research and find the deals, right? And do the underwriting, creating a team, and closing it, and managing it. It's a lot of work, trust me. If you don't think it's a lot of work, trust me, it's a lot of work. It's not saying that, get the money and that's it. It's definitely not like that. If you think that is like that, you know what, you're into the wrong business. But that's, you also talk about, you're able to have the opportunity to buy a lot of apartments, a lot of properties. So, but, and it's also something that you can build. You don't have to have a lot of own equity. And basically, if you're learning it and you find an investor to partner, you actually don't need equity, to be honest. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You need to tell your investor, if you're not investing in your deal, that's fine. But that's why I'm investing a lot of my time. How much time I'm talking to brokers, how much sweat equity I'm doing it. So that's number one. The second one is pretty good too. So I talk about, when you're investing single families, the people to sign the loan, go to CIBC, go to BC, is you, right? You sign in a loan. So basically the bank can go after you because you personal guarantee the property. In apartments, in the syndications and whatnot, putting LP and GP, all the structures. So you are the one who guaranteed the loan. The investor doesn't. And that's why, by the way, they have limited liability. That's why they call limited partnership. Limited partners have limited liability. That's the gist of that. And, when you're creating a structure, some of you guys may know, some of you guys may not know, but I'm sharing 30 seconds on this. When you're creating a structure called an LP, so you have the GP, which is you and I, right? And you have the LP, which is the investors. So the GP assume all the responsibility of managing it, and also you also sometimes have a third person or have a third party or sponsor. The sponsor is coming in to guaranteeing, personal guarantee, that this is a good project, and that's how you can get the money from the bank. Does it make sense? When you're buying a property, let's say 5 million, let's say you getting investor money 1.5, the 3.5 from the bank, right? The 3.5, the bank looking at you, the GP, Scott, me, Howard, or whatever, and then, this is good, experience, and this probably work. But then the bank also looking at, they're investing 3.5 million of deal. So they look at someone who personal guarantee and making sure this is the good deal. That's all. So all I'm saying is when you're talking to investors, when they have this question, it's like, so what is your skin in the game, right? So talk about what is the skin in the game. If you don't put in your own money, what's the skin in the game? Well, this is the skin in the game. I'm going to be, my assets on the table when I sign the guarantee. So educate them. You know what I mean? They may not know. They may not know that when they're investing, they're really just going to be investing in check. And you need them, by the way. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that be not grateful. I'm trying to tell them how do you answer the questions. When you're putting in a sponsor, you maybe not you, maybe it's another your partner, to be able to do the personal guarantee. That is a big thing. That you releasing the financial partner, or in this case, the investor, to personal guarantee the loan. So tell them. So that's basically, that's how I answer them. But having tell you all that, this is my personal preference. I always trying to put some money in the game, because it's if you cannot do that, that's okay. But I'm trying to talk about myself personally. It feels so much better to be even for myself, to be able to tell the investor that, you know what, I want to invest with you because this is a great deal, but I cannot do it all by myself. But at the same time, I'm also putting some money on myself, and whether it's 5%, 10%, or even higher, many cases. But that tell them that if the deal goes south, I'm going south together with you. So that's very, very important, because I guarantee you, this one point alone, put your own money on the deal, and you will win so many investors onto your side. They may not invest with you immediately, but the thing is this: if you do that, they give them so much more confidence, because you're actually going in with them, right? Question? Good. So, what if I need my money back? I got asked one of the guy here 2 days ago. What do I need my money back? You have to. So initially, this slides I just have. Initially, I just have real estate is liquid, and then but it's not just that. I guarantee you will, when you talk about real estate investing, every time you have the conversation, the investor know. Okay, this is why they answer this question. By the way, it's not that investor doesn't know. Investors always know the money is locked, but they're asking you because they just want to answer you. Well, how are you going to respond? Real estate is not stocks. Real estate and you have to be laid out. You have to be you have to come really honestly. It's usually a fixed time. Like but you probably good is tell them that how long is that? Is it 2 years or 3 years, or is it long term? And the longer the better you can tell them the time, depending on what you're gonna do with the project, is good. If you just buy a project that is like wicked deal, and that you can basically buy it under market and then get exit, then of course you can talk about 6 months or like even shorter. But you need to do some work. If you need to do some work, you need to go in and fix every unit and increase the rent. And you're talking about at least 2 years, right? At least 2 years or even longer. So you have to let them know why it takes that long. Lay it out why it takes long, because you need to renovate each single unit. You need to stabilize, re-stabilize, re-tenant it, and the property, and that's how you do it. But you have to let them know. And the questions is, I put it also here, is that you have to answer yourself. So I say that every investor answers that, but some investors also answer the question is because they actually need the money very soon, right? Very soon. So so you have to understand, like when I was doing a course a few years back, and it's called EMD, I think exam market. Basically teach you about how to understand private market, and that's one thing. It's about know your client, right? Know a client, and it's talk about, because if you know your client, what is the motivations, what's the income, what's the net worth, and then, why they're doing this? Is it like a cash flow? Is it for appreciations? Or is it for, and then another thing is big is like, if they're 50 years old, it's totally different when they're 30 years old, because they have different needs, right? A 30-year-old family, they probably not need the cash flow now. But the 50-year-old gentleman is trying to invest, maybe they need cash flow from your deal. And that's maybe they cannot hold for that long, right? So you have to understand what is that coming from. So I got a questions. I see, Will, I mail you. Yes, that's the book. Get Smarter.
Hello, Howard.
Hey.
Yeah, I had a question about when you say stabilize, I don't think I ever really, I think I understand what it is, but can you explain what it really means?
Yeah, stabilize means that the property is 95 or more occupied. And if when you're buying the properties, really some of the times they're not stabilized, and they're like 80% occupied, for example. And so stabilized means that if let's just say that we don't have to do any work. Let's just say that we're just going in and just raise the occupancy. So raise the occupancy, and it's actually a term that is used by lender a lot. So because they always want to, if you're going to refinance a property, let's say if you hold it for 2 years and you haven't done all the work, let's just say there is a momentum deal, just increase the rent, right? Or increase the occupancy. So stabilize means that we're stabilized to the rent based on what you proposed, on the property package or your renovation proposal, and to the occupancy 95% or higher.
So are we building that out to the standards for the lender? When we say stabilize, that's what we have in mind, like what the lender is going to be looking at?
Yeah. I actually have a conversation with a mortgage broker 2 days ago. Yeah, so the higher the better. But the reason is, of course, the higher the income, right? But they is rarely, especially now, the lenders want to see stabilized property because it's less risk, so to speak. But they're also meaning that that's a renovation stage, and that's a stabilization stage, right? So stabilize meaning that you don't have to do. So after you stabilize, meaning that you're already at 95, meaning that you already meet the mark that you want to increase the rent, right? Because when you increase the rent, let's say when you at lower level right here, that the rent is, and you want to raise it to the market or close to the market, what it will unavoidably does, it will usually move some people out. Because some people actually say, even though this is really funny, even though you actually lower the market, but some people will always, I'm talking about tenants here, there's always some tenants like, you know what, I don't like paying higher rent. I've been paying lower rent forever. I'm going to move out. So right. Even though they're going to pay more, or they're going to pay not as good unit. So when you increase the rent, there's always some people will go on, and that will bring down your occupancy level, and it will make your stabilization stage further. So that's why when we say stabilized, it means that you're not actively increasing rent anymore. You already done your work and you're ready at 95.
So I guess for investors and the lenders, they're gonna want to see the same thing. So even if you hold on to the property, they're gonna want to know when you get to that level. So what I'm hearing is three areas to look at. If the property needs rehab, then that's got to be part of the equation. You rehabbed it, and now you can charge higher rents because it's it's new. And then you got you're like you said, you're gonna raise your rent to the market, so they can't be raised anymore. So that's stabilized from a rent standpoint. And then, like you said, the occupancy, you're gonna let those people move out that feel like the rents are now too high. You're gonna do your marketing to get the kind of tenant you want in there.
Yeah, that is it. Like you,
Okay.
if it's one thing, if it is one thing that you get is will be the like this, like if the market, that's so one thing I didn't bring it out is the market occupancy rate. Every market have their own market occupancy rate. You know, you can. What I'm saying is, if the market, if the whole market for that type of property in that area is only 90% occupancy, like if what I mean that is everyone else is only occupied 90%. Usually that is the mark. So usually that is 90% is the mark. You know what I'm saying? If you won't, it's really hard for you to push higher than the market unless you're willing to go lower the rent, like compared to the market, because you can't really do better than the market. That's what I'm trying to say. You can only do like in terms of the rent and also the occupancy, because that is typically, if the market is at that level, you so again, so I'm talking about, I realize that I'm talking about market in two different terms. I'm talking about market in occupancy and also market in rent. So they're two different things. So what I'm saying is, if the market is at 90% occupied for this kind of property, for this kind of for this kind of class, then your mark will be reaching to that market. To when you're reaching that, and you have the same amount, a similar amount of rent, then you are stabilized. I hope it makes sense. Does it make sense, Will?
Sorry. Yes. Thank you. That was, thanks for the clarity on that.
Yeah. You know, it's yeah. So yeah. So yeah, so kind of come back to knowing. So the question is like, when will I get the money back? Because usually the investor is asking, can I get my money back earlier? If you tell me the exit is 3 years, can I exit earlier? And that'd be really all right. You know, like if we're into investing in real estate, and usually it's pretty illiquid. And some people will come back and say, why don't you invest in REITs? And I think Grant Cardone say really nicely, because, you know, first of all, when you invest in REITs, first of all, you don't get all this tax credit, because you're actually investing in portfolio of properties. You don't invest in particular. So what we talk about here, we're investing in these apartment buildings, and you as an investor, we invest in this building, have a share, a limited partner of the building. So so it's not REITs, right? It's not REITs. So you can exit, and you and people who are interested in that, they know that, and they are to be honest, they are your best investor. They have done it, and you have to be telling them, you know, this is electric, and this is going to be the time that we're going to hold. And you know what? And it's not that you're creating the wheel. Is most people probably new under this, because when I was starting out, I feel like this is so unconventional. I'm going to share one statistic to you, and it's going to blow your mind. I don't have it here, but I do know the private market now, as it right now, is as big, if not bigger, than the public market. And I don't know, like you guys following and reading the news, a lot of the public versus the private market. The private market used to be, you talk about 10 years ago, the public market used to be 80%, and the 20% is the private market. So 20 to 80% in a nutshell. But I think lately, and I'm reading more and more reports, that percentage is about 50 to 50. So it tells you, so what we're doing right now, we talk about private capital, because you're raising capital and you have to abide with the rule, right, of the FTC or CSA. You're raising the capital and you have to abide. You have to get yourself educated, and that's why you're so important to know those rules and educate for that. But it's not why I'm sharing with you the 50% rule is because it has been a movement of people moving their fund from the public market, you know, whatever the reason is, public confidence, or they just don't trust the public financial managers or whatnot. They've been moving all the funds from the public to private like private can be real estate, can be a lot of different things, can be private company raising capital. So what I'm saying is this has become a big movement in terms of people like you and I learning how to raise capital privately, legally. Like private doesn't, it's just business. So stop me if you don't understand the private versus private. The private is you go to stocks market and then you raise capital and you write a prospectus, right? Get a lawyer to write a 300 pages document, and you have all the disclosure, and that document is 300K to $500,000 to do it and to raise it, and it's more if you do it, and that's all the company like America, BP, all these big companies, they do it in the public market. But all these big companies, they also raise private capital, just like you and I, and we will get lawyer to write different documentations, and they're also different set of rules because we're raising money privately. We're not trading on the stock market. We're not trading on OTC. We're not trading on all this market. But that is not what we're covering here. But just so you understand, usually private market is illiquid. You know, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Usually private capital have a set number of years, and get this, you always need to have security lawyers and to create those documentations for you, and in your closing costs to creating to buy property or apartments, you will need to have a lawyer, again, a lawyer attorney in US to write those documentations for you, and you budget all the costs as a part of the buying process, so to speak. Not trying to overcomplicate the discussion on that, but that's what you do. And that's why the kind of bring back to the discussion of why is it liquid? Because private money usually is liquid. Make sense? Ready to move on? Question number 5. How does it affect my income tax? You know, and I'm not, you know, and I'm going to disclaim, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an accountant, but I've talked to many of them. So, but you when you're investor, this is a nutshell. When you investor answer the questions, you need to be able to answer the question in a high level, you know. But always say that, you know. But I'm working with a U.S. cross-border accountant. If you're Canada, right? And I'm working with a cross-border accountant, and that he knows how to do the K1, how to create the ITIN numbers. And for US, you know that you guys are SSC numbers, but I'm talking about more for, this is more questions for Canadians. And because when you're investing in RSP, can you do it? So all those kind of questions. But you have to, one thing that I always tell them, you know, if US and Canada have a treaty program, you know, so this is how I explained to my investor yesterday. If you need to pay $3, let's say you make $10 and then pay $3 tax in Canada, and the treaty works in such a way that if US tax you $22, because US usually have the lower tax, so you pay the $2 to the IRA, and then you pay the $1 to the Canadian Revenue CRA, to the Canada, because of the treaty. But you always work with an accountant who knows the cross-border tax rule, the cross-border accounting, and we have some accounting here, but you work with someone who knows the taxation enough. That's a lot of them. The reason why I'm bringing it up is basically get the conversation going before, because now you know that you're going to invest in US. Hunt down an accountant, whether it's US or Canada, to know both sides of the world first, and have the conversation. You know, I can tell you need a K1 when you're doing partnerships, and this is the K1 you're gonna get from your accountant and give it to your investors, and just that, right? And then you also have to create ITIN numbers if you're Canadian, invest in US. And for US guy, it's no different from investing anything else. But trying to educate on the state, what is the tax rate, right? And know that enough so that when you're talking to your investors, then again, you're trying to answer the questions because you want to infuse confidence, but at the same time, you're always trying to cover your ass because, misrepresentation is also a bad way to create credibility, meaning that you lose credibility. So creating a team. So this is a big thing. I always say that creating a team. So now you understand why you have to create a team, and your team is for us Canadians investing in US, you need to find a guy, and there's tons of guys to know how to do it. But you need to do the homework, have the conversation beforehand. And when the investor is going to answer you this question, you prepare. Guess what? If you know how to answer the questions, that gives them really confidence. At the beginning, I didn't know that. I have investor answer me, and then I just don't know how to answer the question. I'm like, and I just lost the opportunity to be able to invest with that guy. So why I'm putting here, because so that I want you guys to know that the question will comes up. Oh, got a couple questions.
Hello, Howard. This is Will again.
Hey, Will.
Yeah, it's funny, right when you brought up the fact of team members, that's how I just wrote that question down. So can you just quickly go over like some of the core team members that we should be looking at?
Yes. So, so the team members, it's funny, I'm just looking because I actually, we were creating an online course, but it's a lot, by the way, it's a lot. But the funny thing is, the good thing is usually it doesn't cost money at the beginning. So I'm going to slowly go over each one of them, and you're going to write it down, right? First, number one in your team is always the real estate broker. Number one, real estate broker. Why? Because they give you the deal, right? They give you the deal, they give you the market informations when you ask them, and this is the highest of the two. But they also give you the other team, like they also create your other team, and I'll tell you why. When you find a mortgage broker, real estate mortgage broker, the next thing, so first of all, you get a deal. Even if you don't get a deal, this is the next question I ask. Can you tell me a good property managers? So basically, I just answer right there, and I don't answer one. Give me 3 or 4. The good one, you should have 5, right? Give me 3 or 4 property managers. Give me a good lawyer. So lawyers, we're gonna come back to that because there's different kind of lawyers. And then give me a name, a contact for accountant, mortgage brokers, and then the big one on the team, because it's going to educate you. How do you need to structure your deals? I'm talking about the debt, I'm talking about the interest rate, I'm talking about the term. And property managers, insurance broker, mortgage broker, accountant, lawyers, and then from your interview with your property managers, and you're going to start getting contractors, right? Contractors, contacts. You answer the same question again, different people, right? So when you know this is your property managers, even if the property managers you don't think this is the one, but you can answer the same question. What is a good contact for your contractor for renovations? And then next one, inspector, right? Inspector is a good one, but you don't answer this. So I will never ask my real estate broker to refer me an inspector, and the reason is because it's going to be biased, right? If I'm going to buying a deal from a mortgage from real estate broker A, and then I also get his contact for inspector, the inspector is going to be biased. So the inspector will not be biased, but the inspector will be biased because he's referred by the broker. You know what I'm saying? So so team is real estate broker, mortgage broker, insurance broker, property manager. But out of the others, the 2 biggest one is really the mortgage broker and the property manager. Why the property? So you understand the property real estate broker is really huge, right? It's because he's the most competitive one. Usually he knows the market. I was talking to a real estate broker yesterday, and it's like, they're already competitive, by the way. If you haven't talked to one of them yet, they're already competitive. But yesterday, this real estate broker tell me, it's like, because I'm telling him, I'm trying to buy, And then I tell him that I have property in the market that I'm trying to buy. And then immediately he said like, first reaction is like, why I don't know you? Because they know everybody. They know all the buyers. I'm sorry. They know all the owners. And so basically he's like, well, he's disbelief that he missed me, right? I say, yeah, a few years ago I buy from this guy. It's like, okay, yes. So, but yeah, so mortgage real estate broker is really competitive. So is number one person you to have on your team. But number two is property managers. Why is that? Property managers will, we are talking about remote control, right? We're talking remote control of the market. Like if I'm investing in Ohio, right? I'm remote control from the property. So I need someone to be on the ground with me. And that guy is property manager. And you're gonna ask your property manager to do a lot of things. But one of the most important things is when you get a deal from the broker, and if you think that's a good deal, and now you're going to be further investigating, and you're going to task the property manager that you already created relationships, right? And you're going to ask the property manager, can you ask, this is what I ask, right? If I'm new to the market, like this is what I ask. Can you go and check the properties for me? And if you're on there, maybe we can do nowadays we can do a FaceTime, and before all this time, before all this phone time, FaceTime video, then you basically have a phone call afterwards. But nowadays you can have that guy that's not going to cost you any money, because the property managers potentially will be working for you, right? When you buy property in the market. So that's why he don't charge you, because otherwise you need to walk the building before you're going to submit the properties. At the meantime, then you can get the property managers to walk the buildings for you, and that's really, really important in terms of building a team.
Is this before you have a relationship with them, like you're testing them out?
This is usually that's what I do. So that's why number one thing is building a team, and building a team that's why I say you don't build a whole team, from day one. But when you start getting the deals and you're getting the deals from brokers, you should almost already have a property manager lined up. And how do you line up property manager? That's a good question. Is you tell them, I'm buying in here. Would you mind, like when I buy, obviously on the nutshell, you haven't signed anything yet. You haven't signed a contract saying that you want to, because you don't have a property yet, right? But you tell them that if I buy, I need someone to manage it for me. And you don't say that, you don't want to lie too, right? To be honest, you don't want to lie. And they understand that. You're just starting at the creation relationships. Getting someone to walk the buildings for you doesn't mean that you're going to hire him on the spot. But he's going to try to provide that, as a value service. If you walk the building, if the building is nice, then he becomes hired. You're hiring him for the property, for the project. Most of the time, property managers would be okay. Like this is what they do. Like that's what they do. They walk buildings, and they walk buildings for owners like you and I to have potentially work with us, work as a team to manage the buildings for us. So this is totally that part of the business. If they have been doing property managers for years, they know this. But yeah, so it's before, like, it's definitely before you have anything signed, because before anything signed, you need at least to know that whether the building exists first, like without flying there. Mm-hmm. And then, and yeah, so yeah, you and the property managers, why is also important is because you remember I asked you to talk to the brokers and get an idea of how the market is.
Yeah.
The second person that I'm going to ask, and I always ask is, I ask the property managers, where's a good part of the area to manage, to own, and where's to invest. Why I do that is because I always answer same questions to the broker and also to the property managers, because I'm trying to see, are they aligning? The property manager usually will not be the one who are lying, but I'm actually trying to see how much information I can, how real is the information. I'm using the property managers to basically confirm what the broker is telling me. You know what I'm trying to say? Because the broker is trying to sell something to me.
You bring up a question too, Howard. Where do you stand on having property managers that are also investors? Do you see that as a plus or a minus?
Is a plus. You mean my deal, or is it their own?
Like when we're going out here looking for somebody to add to our team.
I think it's fantastic, because we talked about that. Terry, why it's fantastic? It's because when you, let's say this is something that I haven't talked about, but this is fantastic. I tell you why it's fantastic. What is even better to have that guy to manage the property, and for you, for the team, for the investor, for ourselves, is also own a part of the share. They're going to be very efficient. They're not going to steal from you. You know, stealing is another thing, and it's pretty, unfortunately, that's pretty big. If you're into real estate investing, you know it, from the owners I'm talking about. But it's fantastic. Having someone to manage a property, also own a part, doesn't have to be a lot, but if they're going in to be investing, that's absolutely fantastic.
So you ask them ahead of time if they're already invested in the market.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why is that? Because if the property manager is also an owner, why is it good? Because he doesn't only coming from an employee perspective, meaning that I'm getting a paycheck, I'm just going to maintain it as much or as little as I want it. When you are owning something, you understand the logistic of every dollar. Every dollar you make, every dollar you raise, every dollar you increase the rent means 100 times, literally, okay? It's not exaggeration, literally 100 times on the pocket, on the pocket of the investor pocket. So they understand that. So
I'm not going to dig into the weeds right now about how to negotiate that. Do we take some off their fee in exchange for equity? But I did want to ask about the brokers as well. What kind of qualifications do you look at brokers that's been in the business for a while, or you just take all comers and tell who comes through?
To be honest, like you will know whether a broker is real deal or not if he sends deals to you, to be honest. Because like the really good brokers, every market I find that the really, really good brokers, there's only a handful of that. And right. they get all the deals. And usually it's 5 to 20, like, you know, let's say 20 really, really top brokers, and they close all the deals. And, you know, and the not good one, they're not in the business for long term. As I said, like, you know, the brokers that I just talked to yesterday, a couple of weeks ago, yesterday. And he asked me, so why don't, it's basically, he was shocked. It's like, why don't know you? Like, well, it's probably because I'm out of state. My information is not available. It's in the company. But yeah, so so the really good way is to basically, they all have deals. The good brokers all have deals. And the bad brokers, I don't mean a bad in a sense of bad, but you know, the brokers that you don't want to be really work with is the brokers doesn't have deals. They recycle deals.
Right.
The recycle deals meaning they get other people deals and trying to sell it to you.
Woo. One other question, and I'll turn it over to other people to ask questions. But I know before you said you concentrated on the Midwest. Now that this has happened, are you looking? Would you be looking at the other markets that maybe you weren't looking at before?
I always look at different market, even though I'm still focused on Midwest, because it's I think it's good market. This is not what I want to talk about today, but I always look at different market. It's because, you know, even though you can focus on so many market, but you can always look at different market, right? I still look at deals from South to Florida to Atlanta and Tennessee, California, and I'm still looking at all this because you know why I look at all this it's not because I want to invest in that, because I want to see usually the cost, how this is a downturn coming, how the cost triggering downturn or like upswing will affect the inner part of the country. The market usually go up and down really quickly on the side, on the coast, because it's capital move in and out really quickly, and then the cycle is usually slower towards the Midwest, towards the inner part of the country. That happens on most of the time in the cycle. So, but why I want to look at different market, because you know what, your investor may have different understanding on, you may be interested in Midwest, but your investor may, before come talk to you, maybe they only know in San Francisco. But if you don't know San Francisco, you're gonna look like an idiot, right? That's why I'm trying to insulate myself from the idiocy. Like I want to have the conversation with the investors, because they're investing in the San Francisco. They know that they're not getting cash flow, and that's the angle you need to. I always going in the angle is like, so if you're not cash flow, so it's really, and then now obviously some of the market is overbuilt as well. So I use that as a bullet. Conversation bullet, so to tell them that that's why I invest in those market. I don't jump around market all the time, because if you build a market, you know that it takes time and it takes effort to go in the market, to really build a relationship, build a deal flow. That is the truth. So I focusing on my market, because you know what, the deal is cash flow, we still cash flow from a perspective. But I'm going to move on to question number 6. How do you so the answer, next question is, investor will probably answer is, how do you protect your asset? And you tell them that first of all, every property have insurance, have tenant insurance, have the property insurance. So it's part of when we're going in. But without going into the LPGP, we talk a little bit that they protected with the legal fact that they're only a limited partnership investor. So they don't have any legal liability other than the money they invest. Okay, again, if they lose, if unfortunately the deal goes south, meaning that everything go wrong, the worst that can happen to investors is really whatever they invest initially. And that's totally different when you invest in yourself. With investing yourself, meaning if you go in a single family properties and buying everything, buying yourself and have the mortgage and everything on you. So that's one big plus. But I'm going to tell them, if the investor asks me how I'm going to protect my asset, the biggest protection I can have for the investor is really, I'm doing the check and balances. I have the team. If I can be, I talk about it already. I can be renovation, I can be property managers, I can be accountant, I can be lawyer at the same time. But by creating a team, the team work for the investor, but really the team work for you in terms of work for the investors. So that is why, the team is such a big thing. I wouldn't be shy to even put my teams on my property package, because that shows that all the people are going to work for you. And then, the site visit, due diligence, all those homework that you do, that is why you're protected. When you're investing in stocks, like, do you have someone that you can call and talk to? You probably don't, right? You cannot talk. You invest in stock, you cannot talk to the CEO, talk to the management team. There's no such thing as like that. But you're investing like private money. The biggest thing is, you can call me up, and you can have a conversation. You basically, you have my cell phone, and I can tell you what's happening. So I tell them all the time. That's why you're protected that way. What if you lose money? I sometimes get this. It is investor. So this is a question that sometimes I would even trigger it. Basically, I tell investor myself, because investors, like, the biggest objection that you can deal with is deal with the objections before I come up. So the investor always have these 3 questions. Can I lose money? What if I lose money? Can you get my money back? They're not even looking at how much return usually. The number one question is, what happened if the project goes south? So I tell you what I do, okay? I'll tell you what I do right now in this downturn. And I don't invent it. And I don't invent it because this is what I'm seeing all these big guys do. I just copy them. Number one rule is communications. So when this come, I'm talking about this, the virus come, there's a lot of fears on the out there, and meaning that, you know, it's news is talking about you're gonna have 30% delinquency, and the other fear people would die, people would die in your apartment, things like that, you know, all sorts of things. So number one thing, first of all, get informed. You're handling people's money. Don't expect that you're getting money and then just run away. It's never like that. If you think like that, it's then you may be in the wrong business. So the number one thing is communications. When you raise a capital, the one thing is the reason why investor invests with you, because he can in any time call you up, whether it's 3 a.m., hopefully not 3 a.m., but anytime during the day or whatever, then call you up and see how the project is going. But usually, if you're doing your job, the investor won't do that again. So, but this is a little bit digress of the questions. What if the project lose money? Because before the project potentially lose money, if you keep the investor communicated, number one thing is at around March time, I educated myself what will happen. I've talked. What I'm doing is I talk to my property manager on a daily basis, at least weekly basis, and then I pull the report on a daily basis on all my properties. I want to know how they're doing, and I want to know if if the cash doesn't come in, how can I mitigate it, and what would I do? So I digest all those informations from my property managers and from the property that I'm seeing daily, and I communicate it with my investors. It's too late when the investor asking you what happened. I say it again, it's too late if the investor have his mind. It's like, oh, what will happen? So you, as a guy, you want to raise capital. This is the number one, and you don't want to, and you cannot delay the communications with the investors, because they're wondering all the time. And the earlier you can calm them, earlier you can talk to them all the time, and telling them that even it's a bad news, by the way, don't avoid the bad news. The bad news is going to come. The bad news is going to come is how well you manage communications, how well you manage telling them the truth, right? And if you telling them the truth, and I would tell them the truth all the time. I would tell them the truth 5 times a day, rather than not telling them the truth at the end of the day when they find out themselves. So, but if the project lose money, we're into the say that again, we're into the game of using people's money and helping them to invest. And investor, many of the time, they're no different from you, meaning that they may not want to do the work, but most of the time, they're not all multi-billionaire. They may have access to their own capital, but I always remember that they have the capital because they is the hard-earned money. So you really, before you're going to answer the investor questions, actually you have to answer yourself that question. I laid it out here is, will you lose more than they invested? So actually the question I want to answer is, if the investor lose money, what will you do? Will you lose your money first? I'm talking about yourself as a managing partner. You get the money, most of the money from the investor. Will you lose your money first, or after the investor lose their money? So what I mean by that, if the deal goes south, and if you can lose your money first, will you lose your money first, or will you put your money online first, or you lose the investor money first? That's if you want to do this for long term, and the easy really answer is you lose your money all day long, because raising capital is a really hard game. If you haven't done this already, and just telling you the truth, it's really a hard game, because most people doesn't do what's necessary, thinking that I'm just taking the money and I just do whatever I can. The truth is, it's really far from the truth. Is when most people who are really successful in raising money, they don't have this mindset. They have the mindset of, you know what, this is more important than my own money. I will lose my own money first before I will lose my investor money. It's really simple. If you lose one time the investor money, you will lose the investor whole life. Do you get it? So like I always have the mindset, I'm talking about myself, I always have the mindset, if I lose money, I will lose my own money first before I will lose my investor money. And because it works for me, because if I have that mentality, meaning that I will have so much confidence, I can approach different investors, that knowing that I have the integrity, that, you know what, not every deal will be like, you sometimes have things happen. Even if you do all the due diligence, no one will know there's virus out there, right? You know what I'm saying? But there's always things you can do. You can always, things you can do, meaning that you can manage it properly by doing the due diligence going in. The more the buffer you can do, meaning that more conservative you can do when you're doing your underwriting, the better. But it's come down to, if the project loses money, I personally, I would say, and because I do mean it, the investor get the money first and they lose the money last, right? That's what I'm trying to say. But another point is waterfalls returns, and it's really popular to in the investor in when you're trying to raise capital. Let's say when you're doing the value add at the beginning, and the cash flow is not so good because you're doing renovations, you're also doing occupancy. So, you know, so let's say you only have $10 coming back, and based on this first structure, the share structure is you will get investor will get $10 and you get $2, but you only have $10. Okay, that's in that scenario. So the investor will get them $10 first, and you as a managing partner will not get your own money. Okay, so I say that again. If there's only enough to go around to get the investor returns, the investor will get it first. Make sense? And then if it, you know, it is almost doesn't even what the contract said, because investor doesn't, you know, understand this. You understand this. You understand the deal. You go. The investor give you the money because they trust you, right? And trust is really hard to earn, by the way. So they trust you. They think that you will do the right thing. They think that you will take care of them without knowing anything. Most of the time, investor doesn't know a lot. You know, some investor may know a lot on investing apartments, but some of them doesn't know a lot. So they rely on you and I to have to take care of them. To be honest, to take care of them. So I would be personally, for a lot of reasons, but for the biggest reason is I'm in this for a long term. And if I can lose my own money first, I will lose my own money first. Then if you lose so much money, then there's different questions. But you have to understand, then tell them, you know, what if the project lose money? You tell the investor, I lose money first, and you must lose money last. But the thing is, I always tell them, the most money you can lose is really the money that all you put on the line. Does it make sense? Everyone making sense? Let me see.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You guys are really quiet, or I just talk too much.
What's that last point there on the previous slide?
Oh, you were paying
equity
attention.
Versus debt nature. Explain.
Yeah, you pay attention. I was going to skip that, Scott. So many of the deals that we invest is really equity based, meaning that investor equity based. So every deal we have an equity part, which is owners, and then we have the deal part, the debt service part. The debt usually comes in from the form of the bank. Even though some of the bigger deals, I see, like there can be also investor coming in, investing as a debt portion of that. But if you understand the difference between debt and equity, is the debt have the first priority to default the loan, meaning that if the deals go south, the deal will get paid first. And that's why I mean by that. But what I mean by that is most investor will be investing in equity, meaning that they would take all the equity and you know, they would get all the potential of the deal, right? They because it's equity is as basically as owner as you and I does, and versus like a debt is like, you know, investing in the debt, because the reason why they have the first positions, the defaulted property, is because usually the debt return is lower, right? We talk about, you know, we talk about 3-4% from the bank, right? So if investor, if they invest in the debt, usually they're higher because they will be usually after the bank, right? But before the equity. So I'm talking about the stack of the stack of the capital placing. So number one is that, and then the next, which is us, we be the equity. But you know, the one thing that I didn't talk about is really like as us raising capital guys, we're the last one, right? If we are following what I said on the previous slide, is basically is we even though have a capital is, but we're really after the investors, and I think that's the way they should be, because they trust you, right? They trust you. They put the money on the line, and they really most of the time they don't. It's not fair for them to. Unfortunately, you know, in real world, when you invest in stocks, it's the other way. That's why I think that's right. For instance, stocks, like you're the first one to lose money. The owner, sorry, the major investor, they were exited number one, but the small investors, we're the last one to know. But that's not where I'm trying to go. But that's what I mean. The equity versus that nature, Scott, is that. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
How many projects have you done before? It's really simple. I'm going to fly through that. Basically, what you want to present here is basically showing them that you have done this, right? And if you haven't done this, and you show that you have, this is investing in apartments. It's not something you just come off the ass. You have been educating yourself for a number of time, for a number of years, for a number of months. And another thing is demonstrated. If you haven't a track record, you know, don't lie, but demonstrate that you have your team, demonstrate that with the property package, demonstrate that, you know, if you have investor, let them do, if it's the best, let them talk to investor. I always encouraging new investor to talk to my existing investor. This is the biggest thing. Talk to them. Have I been paying them quarterly? Like, have I been paying them, right? This is the biggest, easiest one. And that's why don't treat your investor very good, because when you treat your investor very good, they are your raving fans. You know what I'm saying? You can ask them to talk to your potential investors, and which I do personally, and it's because you do treat them properly by educating them, but by sending them like sometimes Christmas gift, like it doesn't have to be expensive. Just telling them that you care about them. But you know, when the investor kind of answers you these questions is, you always show them a track record if you can. If you cannot, showing them that you have been showing them your track record can be how many you are buying is the best, right? How much equity you're building for other investors, but also showing them that why this market is good. The more you've done your homework, the more you can show in here, and without saying that, you know, I haven't done any. You know, the worst answer is I haven't done any, and then you full stop, and then that's it, right? Because this is time that you're trying to sell yourself. Maybe I haven't done any. You know, before I don't, you know, this is my line. Before I invest in apartments, maybe you guys can say it. You guys can steal it. So before I already invest in apartments, but I invest in single families, I invest in different market. I invest in my own education. I put all that in my track record, because that I invest in money, time, and also my experience into those. Even though it may not be apartment experience, but you know what? It's my experience, and that's much better than, you know, I haven't done any apartments before and then just stop. No. But for you guys, for you guys, you're trying to get this for the long game, there's going to be investor going to take a chance on you. I guarantee you, triple guarantee you. There's going to be an investor who's going to take a chance of you if you take the time to cultivate the relationship. Because in the raising money game is a lot of time is a confidence game. At the same time, the confidence can be infused if you doing the know, like, trust enough. So that obviously, if you have the biggest track record, obviously it's good, but it does not always guarantee that you're going to get the investor, because if you outdo the work of the other guy because he's too big and that's too busy, he doesn't spend time to create the warm fuzzy feeling with that investors, you're going to win the investors. Make sense? Okay, this is a really loaded questions. What are the logistics? So usually that's a really good questions. If the investor asks you, anyone else know what I mean by what's the logistics? Anyone? Cooler? No? Okay, so basically the investor is saying is like, I'm pretty much ready. So how do we do it? So basically meaning that if I'm going to invest, how do you invest? Where the money goes, right? Does it go to you? Does it go to the escrow? Does it go to the lawyer? When you're going to close? And how you're going to close? What is the cash flow? So I just it's a really open-ended question. It's basically meaning that how will I give you the money? And you have to know this too, right? Hopefully, if you don't, you ask me. And then you also have to know how do I get my cash flow? Is it quarterly? Is it monthly? And what do I need to sign? And what is timeline? Timeline is a big thing. When do you need the money to be in where, by when, right? And what kind of document you need to sign? So documents, we talked about it from the lawyer, and you may not, so all this thing is like basically kind of questions of closing questions. So closing means like closing the properties, and because you have to have quite many of all those things ready. Like you have to have documents ready, right? Before you can say that sign my notebook and things like that. You have the proper documentations. I talk about raising capital, the lawyer already involved at this time, but it doesn't mean that you don't. Doesn't mean that you have that at the moment. But you have to let the investor know you need to sign this. You need to sign that. You need to sign the subscription agreement. I'm going to give you the operating agreement to look at, and the property package should be already ready. You know, you should have your property package ready. If not ready, you should be already making it so that you can send it to the investor, because that will answer a lot of questions, answer a lot of the return, a lot of the background information of why it's a good deal, why that city, do you have a strong team, cash flow, right? All that. So I was hoping this was a shorter meeting, but it's good. You guys have a lot of questions. So I don't know. I hope it's helping. Like I'm trying to put it more face to face, as in this is because all these questions really it would be the questions that investor will answer you. So it's gonna go back. So be ready to see some of these questions, because like, you know, how do I get my money back? It's basically, you know, can I trust you? What is the risk? Do you invest in your own deal? You think it's so good, right? What if I need to get my money back? And the tax, the asset, you know, but basically number 5 and number 6 is basically the tax, and also and lawyer questions. So meaning that you already have created your team, because those questions, like you haven't created your team, you can't answer the questions, right? And then number 7 is like, you know, what if you lose money? All these questions is not so hard to answer, but it's harder to answer if you only answer the first time, or you haven't prepared, or like you know. And the truth is, to be honest, is I have to be fair with you guys. If it's first time, it's always going to be hard to answer. To be honest, it's just like anything. But if you get answer, if you keep doing this, if you keep raising capital, to be honest, this is, I think, right now out there is one of the best opportunity to be going in. I was talking to a broker yesterday, because we know, right? The smart investor know, even like if you open the news, the market is going to be corrected to various degree. So one question the investor will answer is, what do you think? Are we going in now? Because let's say you approach your investor tomorrow, and then the investor is really smart. It's just like all you guys answer. What do you think? Do we go in now and later? I always tell investors this, and I always tell all you guys too. I wouldn't go in now, but the reason why we're talking right now is because when we need to pull the trigger in 6 months or 9 months, I can't do the work at that moment. And that applies to also raising capital. And anyone who has been raising capital, knowing you need a few months to line the money, unless the investor knows you a long time a lot, and meaning that you have to build the relationships. That's what I'm trying to say. Even if you invest in with your families, they need to know that you have been doing this for some time. So it's what you're doing now. The market right now is fantastic because the market correct, and it will correct. And that's the time they already have 3 months, 6 months, 9 months doing the research, talking to brokers, getting the deals already. And that's the best time that you want to be, and to close it. And at that time, you already talked to your investor for so many months, right? That's my point. With that, just I want to go to the questions because we are closing to the time. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Open to the questions. You guys are good? No question. Cooler.
I think we got a lot answered kind of during our time here. So
do you guys want to do networking, or are you guys good? I want to hear, like, if you guys want to do networking, and just I would break out the room. I'm really free. Like, I try to break out a room. To be honest, I'm not pretending I know how to break out the room. You guys want to do like break all you guys and then come back, or you guys want to do it? I'm just gonna do it. If you don't want to do it, let me know. Break our rooms. Okay. I'm gonna spread. Okay. One thing I want you guys to do when you break our rooms, because this is also networking opportunity. I want you to introduce yourself, and just like any networking opportunity, take the time and to get to know each other, because some of you guys are actually from US, right? Some of you actually, not all you guys from Calgary, by the way, because it's an online event. So take the time to understand and help out each other, and then give you 15 minutes. And then okay, and now we'll have you back. So okay, cool, I have to leave. Okay, that's fine. So I'm gonna create bigger rooms, 7 per rooms, done. Okay, so I think you guys are in your breakout rooms. I think you guys can start chatting. Can you guys talk to each other? I think you guys can, right? It's just a normal networking event, so you guys can. Oh, I see a lot of people dropping from the second room. So let me see. You guys can. I think you guys can chat, right, by yourself.
I'm not sure.
I'll be honest, I'm pretty new on this breakout room thing. I'm trying to figure it out. But if you guys don't want to do this, you guys don't want to network, that's fine. And I think this is really good sessions. I think we cover a lot by sharing a lot of questions. And this is basically what I really actually, I think having done it, I think this is actually one of the good things I want to do, because I think this is going to help you guys. this is not that scary, by the way, but it helps you to actually visualize it. But at the same time, the only one way, to be honest, is actually meet investors, and then you will find out that the first handful is really nervous, but then if you keep doing it, and you will see that they all answer the same questions, and then you're getting better and better. You're getting better and better, and you cannot raise capital by not meeting investor. I'm sure you guys know already, and you have to meet investors. But with that said, I think that's all. I think I'll leave it to you guys. And this is my contact information. If you guys want to answer more questions, send me email, or just stay on the line. And otherwise, I wish you guys happy Easter, and thank you for taking the time to join us. I will chat with you guys next month for you guys who are coming to the Zoom, to the meetups. And I'll see you guys Wednesday for the ones who want to join us on the Zoom call next week. Looking to see you guys. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Howard. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks a lot, Howard.
Thanks, Howard.
Thank you, guys. Really great to have you guys.
Talk to you guys soon.
Talk soon. Bye.
Bye. Hi, everyone on Facebook. That's it for wrap it up for today's monthly event. Thank you for you guys watching. So we are doing this every month, every second Saturday, and so we are really good to have close to 20 people join us today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying in. And so on next Wednesday, we also have on the weekly Zoom call. And so I wish you guys very fun Easter holiday, and stay healthy, and see you guys next time. Hi, Tongsley, I think you're the only one here. Just say thank you for joining in, and wish you have a great holiday. Talk to you later. Bye. next time.